Your side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you
from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria,
giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News on the hour. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle. Apparently dissatisfied with the outcome of the just concluded governorship election in the state, the Osun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party and its candidate, Iyolo Mishiri, have said the party is going to take its complaints to the Election Petitions Tribunal. This was part of the resolution reached after an extraordinary meeting of the party in Osogbo. The state chairman of the PDP, Chief Ojo Williams, moved a motion that the Osun gubernatorial election was marred with fraud and irregularities and that the state PDP should reject it in totality. The motion was seconded by Alhaji Halidu Tiamiyu. A communique, which was signed by the PDP chairman, described the election as robbery of the electorate. The communique says the PDP in the state rejected in totality the outcome of the result and that it would contest it until the mandate of the state, which was stolen, is returned. The communique praised and commended the people of the state for coming out en masse to vote for the PDP. The Independent National Electoral Commission has been commended on the outcome of the August 9 governorship election in Osun State. A political analyst, Ola Olateju, commended INEC for performing our duties well during the election.
I need to congratulate the Independent National Electoral Commission for a job well done in Osun. They've been able to maintain the independence of the commission, in spite of the fact that heavy military or armed forces personnel were mobilized into Osun State, which some people called intimidation, which I don't see from that angle, but that INEC was able to stand up and to conduct that election in a way that allowed Aregbesola to emerge the winner, not taking into consideration that they said who plays the piper, they takes the tune. PDP government, the federal government being controlled by PDP, pays INEC. But INEC now standing up under Jega to conduct an election where the same PDP will be defeated. I say they deserve a lot of commendation.
A public affairs analyst, Sylvester Laomi, says the electorate should be commended for coming out en masse and for their peaceful conduct.
The electorates, they are wonderful too. It shows that the electorates in Osun are well educated. They are matured. Despite all this perceived intimidation, they came out en masse to vote, and there was no problem, no hooliganism. Nobody tried to shunt. I was looking at them on the television, and I saw that there was no shunting, so there was no cause for any rancor. I also want to congratulate INEC because I learned all materials needed came on time to all the spots. So I want to say they also have tried very well, and I hope they will continue in other elections.
Still in Osun State, the credibility of election results often depends on reports of independent observers, whether local or foreign. The Police Service Commission and Clean Foundation reviewed the process in Osun and gave recommendations. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
The August 9th governorship election in Osun State, which produced sitting governor Rauf Aregbesola as the winner, has witnessed different kinds of statements from observers, ranging from the conduct of security agents to welfare and militarization of election.
We noted, as has become the pattern, that security officials were deployed en masse across the state. Most polling units had 3 or more security agencies, the presence of masked security personnel that were patrolling around the state, particularly across 2 agencies. People were deployed from other state commands into the state for the elections, and there were no accommodation provision for them beyond primary school buildings.
The Police Service Commission, represented by Albert Adeola, commends the police for the display of professionalism, saying that the issue of police welfare will be looked into properly.
We noted that some of the policemen even slept at the polling units. Some of them arrived before 6 and properly dressed, properly identified. The welfare package equally, you see, it's not within our jurisdiction. It is purely a police affair. But because of our the nature of our job, the issue also is going to be raised in advisory position.
Giving overall commendation for the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies, they advised that other flaws should be improved upon in order to have better outings in forthcoming elections.
We commend INEC, like we said earlier, but we commend the police and other security law enforcement agencies, and then the oversight agencies who are, putting more effort to ensuring that people are held account for their functions. Security agencies should continue to plan ahead of elections, particularly in regards to deployment of logistics and personnel, and to ensure that the welfare of their officials are properly catered for. We urge INEC and the law enforcement agencies to take seriously the need to prosecute electoral offenders. This would go a long way in stemming the tides of malpractice and impunity.
The peaceful conduct of elections have been a major challenge in the past, but recent elections have proven that electoral processes can be conducted without ballot box snatching and violence. Rashid, CoreTV News, Oshogbo.
The federal government and state governors had to meet on Wednesday to further deepen collaboration on efforts to stop the spread of the Ebola virus. President Goodluck Jonathan disclosed this in Abuja. He also advised Nigerians against making contact with corpses.
As a government, we promise Nigerians that we'll do everything humanly possible to contain the Ebola. We are doing our best. On Wednesday, I'm going to meet with all the governors of the states. They will come with their commissioners in charge of health, and we must make sure that every state is prepared. Where they lack, federal government will support the state to make sure that they have what it takes to contain the Ebola. It's unfortunate that one madman brought the Ebola to us, but we have to contain it. 60% of the spread is during burials. We are pleading that we must be mindful about burials.
Another nurse who treated the late Liberian American Patrick Sawyer in Lagos has tested positive to Ebola virus. This brings to 10 the number of confirmed Ebola cases in Nigeria. Health Minister Onyebuchi Chukwu, who disclosed this at a press conference in Abuja, says 177 people are under observation after making primary contact with the index case.
It's only a few days since the late Patrick Sawyer brought the Ebola virus into Nigeria, and already the casualty figure is climbing. 10 cases have now been confirmed, including the index case. All affected Nigerians are said to have had contact with the late Liberian American.
It has been 22 days since EVD first landed in Nigeria. As of today, 177 primary and secondary contacts of the index case have been placed under surveillance or isolation. 9 developed Ebola virus disease, bringing the total number of cases in Nigeria to 10. Of these 10, 2 have died, that is, the Liberian American and the Nigerian nurse, while 8 are alive and currently on treatment.
The new case is a health worker like others, and although the minister, as usual, will not disclose her identity, but he disclosed that she is a newly married nurse.
She doesn't have children, and it's only the husband she's been in contact with. So the husband is under surveillance, yes. Only the husband? Only the husband, newly married, and only 2 of them live in the house.
The health authorities say Nigeria is collaborating with local and international partners to contain the virus, but the minister is also looking forward to doctors calling off their strike.
We are still discussing with the NMA. We are still pleading with the Nigerian Medical Association to ask its members to return to work. While we are still doing that, we've not gone to bed. we're not sleeping. There are doctors who are not part of the strike, and they've been taking part in the management of these patients. As of today, for the treatment of Ebola virus disease, the NMA strike is not affecting it. But that is not to say that we don't want doctors to work. We certainly want doctors to work, particularly now that we want to be sure that in every other state we don't have the problem. So we're still in touch with the NMA, and we hopefully they may even call it off this week.
The Nigerian government is convinced that its efforts to check the spread of the virus will succeed. But for now, the number of confirmed cases is now in double digits, with over 100 people either under observation or in isolation.
Meanwhile, Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has urged religious and traditional leaders to assist in the fight against the spread of the deadly Ebola virus. Abiola Oluwale was at the sensitization meeting, and his report is presented from our studio.
There has been panic amongst residents in Lagos since news of the first reported case of Ebola virus was reported. So far, 8 out of the 10 contacts with late Patrick Sawyer, the librarian who imported the virus into Nigeria, have tested positive. Governor Fashola met with traditional rulers and religious leaders to sensitize them on efforts to prevent the spread of the disease.
The importance of that effort is that if we know of any suspected case, it's not something to keep in the house or be doing traditional rites for, or be praying for, or using a food or urugu. It does not work.
According to the governor, government has set up an isolation emergency center to take care of any suspected case of the disease.
Doctors know how to treat patients, but they themselves have to be trained in order to manage this viral. So not any doctor can just go in there, because if you go in from this door, for example, you must not come out from this door. You must go out from another. The whole idea is that everything that is that virus was not linked to during the game. That's the only time that we can say we are safe. So we have to quickly prepare this building. This is the isolation building, where those who have the illness are going to be looked after.
The religious and traditional leader says they will support governments by sensitizing the populace about the existence of the disease and its mode of transmission.
A drastic awareness, a continuous awareness of the unwanted guest we have on our hands in Nigeria, especially in Lagos. That is the Ebola virus. And that is not a disease we can play about or spiritualize. It's a disease we need to confront headlong by taking to all the medical counsel that we have received with the symptom and cooperating also with the government to curb the spread of this virus in our society.
About this Ebola, how one can contact it, how one can take care of it, how we to handle it in general. So we have learned it here. We are to tell others what exactly is. We cannot all be here, but once we have the representative, I think everything will be okay.
You know what the government was tell us now? It was enlightenment, what to do. Just to tell us if you are having the symptom, if somebody maybe is sick, that we know that this is affecting him.
Governor Fashola also met with local government chairmen and primary health care officials in his effort to curtail the spread of the disease.
The National Hospital in Abuja now has a state-of-the-art trauma center, complete with a helipad for air ambulances. The complex, which has a capacity for 8 beds, was first conceived in 2010, but actual construction did not begin until a year later. Vice President Nnamdi Sambo commissioned the ₦1 billion center on behalf of President Goodluck Jonathan.
This trauma center, I can confirm that it's one of the best trauma centers you can find anywhere in the world. A global standard trauma center. And this is just the beginning of Mr. President's transformation agenda in health delivery in this country.
The center is also endowed with 3 operating theaters with ultramodern bone unit and recovery rooms, 8-bedded adult ICU with monitors and ventilators, 4-bedded VIP ICU, a rehabilitation unit, 60-bedded admission capacity, space for expansion up to 80 beds, complete with piped oxygen and air on each bed, produced by an independent dedicated oxygen plant, tested and ready for use. Call rooms for both consultants and residents, laboratory scale acquisition, practical rooms, e-library, 3 large conference rooms of 100 to 150 capacity each, 3 seminar rooms for use as lecture rooms. Your Excellency, sir, the center has full complement of central air conditioning, lift to ease movement, as well as helipad for emergency transfer of patients via ambulance.
The National Conference is adjourned till Wednesday to enable delegates go through the final report. The report, which is in 4 volumes, was distributed to the delegates on resumption from a 3-week break. Conference Secretary Valeria Zinge announced that delegates would be given 3 days to study the report before they reconvene to consider it. A number of the delegates spoke on the adjournment.
All we have come here to do is not to start debating all over again. Is to look at the report, to cross the T's and dot the I's. And if people are fastidious, the most important areas in this report are the recommendations, the resolutions. And I think that if we are serious, if we are not here just for, if we are here for business and not for leisure, in time they have given us enough to go and look at those recommendations, to look at that, they reflect what we decided. So I do not see any problem with the timing. And if we cannot finish in those 2 days, perhaps we can spill into the weekend. But I think we have stayed long enough on this. We must end this and return the report to the president.
You know, in everything, even when you were reading for exams, or when we were reading for exams in the university, you focus on the areas of your strength. If you focus on your weaknesses, you will lose your strength. So what I think will happen is the secretariat, the management, the leadership had put together the Constitution of 1999, all the amendments that were resolved to do at the plenary, and then they've taken all and suggested a draft of what it will look like. That's something to look at. That's not too bulky. That's one. 2, each person in different committee will go and focus on their own committee. And peradventure, when we get together, we'll be able to say, let the committees see all the things one by one. And if there's no departure from what was agreed, especially at plenary, then the votes and proceedings, if there's no departure, then there's no point wasting time. We can do this in 3 days.
Ahead of the final session of the National Conference, many delegates are concerned about how their recommendations would impact Nigeria's future. There are also others who say the 3-month session showed that Nigeria's problems were worse than they initially thought. The delegates are, however, hopeful that the outcome of the conference won't be discarded. Pai Samuel reports.
After 3 months of deliberations, the National Conference is set to wind down. The final report is done, but delegates are concerned about how Nigerians will benefit from the outcome of the conference. Resource control remains a sticking point, and these delegates believe regions should be given what they deserve.
Personally, I would have wished that the 5% for area ravaged by insurgents and other matters should be made national. So many parts of this country have suffered all kinds of things. We in Southwest, in Ogun and Lagos, a year or 2 ago, there was so much devastation in terms of flood. Also in Delta. Delta State was had substantial part of Delta flooded and many houses ruined. So if they had made that 5% national, rather than to
North Central, North East, and Northwest, and excluded Southwest and Southeast was what created the problem.
A number of them are also worried over the security situation in the country. This is why delegates like Olu Falaye pushed for state police.
If here, during the First Republic, every region had its own constitution, in which they included the powers devolved to them at the center. So for the first time, the states will have their own constitution. That means they are now proper governments. 2, each state will have a police force which will enforce its own enactments. That is the meaning of a government. A government is a body that can legitimately make laws and enforce them by their own authority through a police force. That is the definition of a government. Now they are proper governments. 2, in the federation, the federating units control their own local governments. Hitherto they were third tier control from Abuja. Now they are proper state federating units. 4, we now have courts of appeal at the state level, which will be the final court, except in cases like murder and capital punishment, etc. But for most cases will end in the state Supreme Court. So you don't have to go from Calabar to Abuja.
But at least one delegate told CoreTV News that the conference showed him a dark side of Nigeria he never knew.
Very illuminating in many respects and opened my eyes to many things. Some of them very sad things, many of them very sad things, but true things, I think. I mean, there's really no absolute truth, but my own perception is that things are worse in Nigeria than I thought.
And with many people wondering how the outcome of the conference could become part of the country's laws, Festus Okoye says the government has a number of options.
If the leadership of this country has the political will and is sincere and decides to implement some of the recommendations, Nigeria will be a great place. Now, some of the recommendations are administrative in nature and affects either the federal government or the state governments or the local governments. So I believe that they should be segregated and taken to those levels of government. Some of the recommendations are policy in nature, that you don't need any legislation or any National Assembly intervention to implement. The organs concerned with all these things should go ahead and implement them.
So, what then should Nigerians expect as the conference reconvenes for a final session?
Before we leave, we concluded that we will send our report to Mr. President, who sent us there. We will now set up a technical committee that will transfer that issue. So we are going there now. We are resuming on Monday. It's supposed to be on the 4th. They are sent to, because of this Salah holiday, only for us to peruse the report. So we don't want anybody to smuggle things inside the report. What we don't discuss, we enter there. I think maybe about 2-3 days after we peruse and we okay it to be signed. Everybody has a copy and I leave the floor.
Now that another national conference has gone down into history, Nigerians can only hope that the outcome will go a long way in making the country a better place.
It's the CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more reports. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
They gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before it perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of Osun State and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly, and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Thank you for being there. And outside Nigeria, a senior United Nations aid official warned Israel that a new conflict in Gaza is likely unless it lifts a crippling blockade on the tiny Palestinian enclave. The top UN humanitarian official for the Palestinian territories, James Rowley, says the international community had failed during more than a month of fighting between Israel and Hamas, which has killed more than 1,930 Palestinians and 67 people on the side of Israel. Israel and the Palestinians committed to observe a fresh 72-hour truce from Monday, accepting an Egyptian
The blockade must be lifted, not only in order to get material into Gaza to rebuild it, but to allow Gaza to do what it was doing very well just 10 years ago, to trade with the outside world. Gaza has a tremendous potential. People are very entrepreneurial, they're well educated, they have markets abroad, Israel, the West Bank, but the blockade has to be lifted in order that Gaza can thrive. I'm afraid what will happen is not only will we see very little in the way of reconstruction, but I would say that the conditions are in place for us to have another round of violence like we're seeing now. You know, we have well over 10,000 homes that have been destroyed. In the media, no doubt you've seen that a large part of the Gazan industry has been destroyed. Maybe 300,000 people out of work.
And that's a wrap on the news for this hour. Join us again top of the hour for more reports. Thank you for watching. I am Ebulomo Adekunle.